Today we've got a more basic tip for newer players to Pathfinder 2nd Edition and Starfinder 2nd Edition, and that's the hidden combat style choices. You'll often hear talk about like sword and boarding, or using a two-hander, or just a one-hander and open hand and using combat maneuvers and stuff like that. But as a martial, there's also a slightly hidden layer to your feat selection that will determine the weapon you want to use. For example, if you're going to take the knockdown feat and use it as your primary thing that you default to, is like you'll just almost all the time run into the battlefield and use knockdown on the opponent. Well, swords on a crit off guard the opponent, and hammers and flails also impose a save against your class DC or knock the opponent down. So, while those aren't going to happen all the time, using knockdown with those weapons is slightly less efficacious because you're being redundant. Meanwhile, a pick does bonus damage on a crit, and a club, well, that sends the opponent flying backwards, so if you crit them on a knockdown, they are prone, and then also not adjacent to anybody, so if they're melee only, they would need to stand up and then move, so you've taken an extra action from them. But hey, if your primary thing is going to be using Intimidating Strike and maybe grabbing some Fear Gems later to upgrade it, well, that's not off-guarding them, so a sword that crits an Intimidating Strike will get like +2 penalty on that guy, and then also off guard them for a huge AC penalty that could be even higher with the Fear Gem on it. Meanwhile, if you want to use the swipe feat a lot, pretty much every weapon group is on the table there, but also axes often have the sweep trait, which would give you a +1, and also the axe crit effect, which you are now more accurate in getting, is dealing extra damage to a target adjacent to the other one. So a swipe suddenly can become a huge damage nuke, getting the crit effect up to twice, getting a whole bunch of bonus damage. I've been in more than one groups where a fighter became disappointed with their weapon group selection because they had invested a bit into a feat. Including recently a guy that really loved using his hammer and had invested 2 feats into slam down. It's like every time he crits on his big thing he put 2 feats into, his crit specialization doesn't do anything. And I recently had someone ask me what the point of the Flissa was when it's agile, finesse, and does the same damage types as the short sword. And the answer is, if you're using a sword in your primary hand and crit, and then you crit with a short sword in your second attack, it doesn't do anything, but a Flissa's in the knife group, so it does something. So, optimizing your weapon group selection for the feats you're taking is sort of a hidden combat style choice in Pathfinder 2nd Edition.